Welcome into a stretch class. I'm going to get started right away. Rolling the wrists. We've got to warm up in order to stretch. Bend and extend the elbows. We're not in any hurry, but we do want to get to our stretching, and we do want to prime the muscles so that they are ready for a good stretch. All right, nice wide feet. Roll the shoulders a few times. Rolling them up, back, and down. Today I'm going to be all over the place, and not to be disorganized, but intentionally all over the place in the sense that sometimes we do the lower muscles and work our way up. Sometimes we do the upper muscles and work our way down. Today I'm going to try to keep the blood flow through the body nice and fresh by bouncing up and down with muscle groups. Not to say we're going on the ground and standing, on the ground and standing. There may be a little bit of that, but you can modify, and I'll show you lots of options. Rolling the shoulders the other way, if you haven't already, and turn the head left and right. A little bit of neck rotation, unlock the knees. I know I got to remind myself of that all day. And eyes forward. I like to bring my fists together for this, but you can do palms or just swing the arms. The idea is spine rotation, okay? From the waist up. We're not trying to twist the knees, just a little bit of turning here. Probably over halfway done with our warm-up. Making sure all the joints are moving okay. If you get pinching, right, know that that area might need a little bit more care, a little bit more delicate stretches, right? A little bit less range of motion if you're hurting somewhere. And forward, bring the feet closer together, circles with the hips, hula hoop circles. And switch directions. This is a good class to have a chair in. It's a good class to have wall space in. Floor, sometimes we do some floor moves. Today I'm going to do a little bit of everything, and you are welcome to skip anything that does not work for you, right? I might do 25 moves today. If you just do 5 of them and hold them for a really long time, you might get more out of it. I mean, 5 is pretty low, but if you do way fewer than I do, that's okay. You might get more out of each stretch if you hold them for longer than I hold them, right? I'm not getting a good stretch practice in. I'm demonstrating lots of options. You might want to skip some of the ones that I do on purpose so that you can spend more time doing the ones that you feel like you get the most out of. I'm just jogging here to get the heart rate up, get the blood flow through the system a little bit, right? Blood carries oxygen and nutrients throughout the body, and that is absolutely necessary before stretching. Before all of our classes, but especially before stretching. You don't want to stretch cold muscles. That's part of how we get little micro tears and little strains and stuff is randomly throughout the day. You're like, oh, my back's tight. I think I'm going to stretch it. No, you got to warm up the back. You got to squeeze the muscles first. Don't just cut right into a stretch in the middle of a day. Warm it up. All right. Plenty more warm-ups we could do, but I'm going to move on, right? If you need more, do some side jacks, do some high knee pull downs, do whatever it takes for you to get nice and warmed up. I'm going to get started here. I'm going to start with the calves, okay? And then I'm going to bounce to the upper body after the calves. I like to use a chair or a wall to do the calves. Here's what it looks like. Heel down, pushing down and back. Okay, holding onto a chair. Stick with that if it feels good for you, or come to a wall. Same thing. And what I like about the wall and the chair is I get a little bit of horizontal pressure, right? I'm able to push the heel backward, okay? If I don't have a wall space, there's really nothing to push on, right? If you're freestanding. And so you can get into posture, but you can't get into pressure. Right? You can get here, but you can't push on anything if there's no wall or chair or some kind of table. So I like to push on something, maybe a couch. Okay, and then switch sides. Heel down, pushing down and back. A little bit of tension back, just below and behind the knee. These areas, right? The calves. Breathe in here. And Like I said, you can spend more time with that, but I'm gonna bounce to the upper body now. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs, roll the shoulders just for a second, both ways. And we'll start with the shoulders. This is a light stretch. A lot of people don't even feel the tension. Right arm comes across, give it a nice hug, or left, doesn't matter which side you're on. If you feel pinching in the shoulder, you might need to come lower, and that's fine, right? If you don't feel the pinching though, you might come across. I prefer this. It's a little bit stronger if of a stretch, or maybe more intense if you want to call it that. And then you can rotate the upper body. So I'm getting a little bit of tension on the external, this lateral deltoid here, the outermost part, as I pull it across. You might not feel that. Like I said, I would say most people are very mobile in this joint and not very stable, right? So don't yank really hard. It's still good to gently move, but you might not feel the tension unless you're sore from, I don't know, gardening, yard work, living life, exercise. Maybe you're in one of those strength classes we teach and it's tight. Okay, I'm gonna switch sides. Arm comes across, give it a nice little pull, and I just do a tiny little rock. I'm just turning at the waist. I'm not twisting my knees, right? Unlock the knees. Gotta remind myself. And if there's pinching there, you wanna come down more, right? That's a little bit safer. It's a little bit lighter. I don't get tension that way, but if you are not used to coming across, then down might be better for you. You'll have to explore that. Listen to, if you've got a physical therapist treating a shoulder injury, for example, right now, you'll want to listen to them, right? I haven't evaluated your shoulders. I can't evaluate your shoulders, especially not in this setting. So listen to your primary care, the overseeing doctors, that kind of stuff, if you have an injury. And I talk about one of those body parts today. All right, shake it out, shake it out. Back down to the lower body. I'm gonna come and get the hip flexors going here. We've got a couple different stretches today for the hip flexors and kind of inner groin area. First will be the hip flexors. One step forward, one step back, okay? And it's not an extravagant, it's not the biggest step you can make, right? It's not like gigantic, because then you won't be able to do the next couple of extra modifiers to make it more intense. So one forward, one back, just a light step back. These 3 cues add to tension in the front of the hips here, the hip flexors, the top of the legs, okay? Number 1, tuck the tail. Don't flare the tail up. You want to tuck it down. Okay, it looks like I'm doing some John Travolta hip dance or Elvis Presley dance, right? Tuck the tail, squeeze the glutes, that's number 2. And push the hips forward. That's number 3. If you're stepped really, really far back, you're not gonna be able to tuck the tail. Squeezing the glutes might happen, but you're also not gonna be able to rock forward very much at all. So just a mild step, tuck, squeeze, and push forward just gently, right? As far as intensity goes, slow and steady wins the race, right? Usually people are not straining their muscles and getting an injury if you stay on the lighter side. And you still get lots of improvement in either range of motion, exercise recovery, injury prevention. Those kinds of things are improved and benefited from mild stretching, frequent stretching, right? Not just once a week, not just once a month. A lot of people would say every day, but you know that can really eat into your time. So stretch as much as you have time for, and that you won't be going crazy if you do too many, right? Anyway, I'm gonna tip forward and step, switch sides. If, on the other hand, you go too intense, that's when strains happen. That's when we pull muscles. That's when we set ourselves back, and we're not making improvements if we push too hard. So slow and steady wins the race in the game of stretch. Three cues here: tuck the tail, squeeze the glutes, and push the hips forward. And you can rock if you like. A little bit of rocking, shoulder blades back. You want to keep your eyes straight forward. I know I keep looking at you guys because I want to talk to you, but I should keep my eyes forward in line with my sternum here. Sometimes I put my hands on my hips and that reminds me to have good posture. You don't have to do that, but we don't want to like slouch, right? Shoulders back, chest up, tuck the tail versus flaring the tail up. Tuck it. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Did I say it was great to have you guys today? It is great to have you guys today. Thanks for coming. I'm sure your bodies will thank you as well. All right, tipping forward. You can spend more time there if you like. March the knees a little bit. If you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video so that YouTube can recommend it to others. Thank you so much. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. Upper body. Okay. These are the lats. I love stretching the lats. These are the pull-up muscles, right? Or pull-down muscles, depending on what you're using. But these are the wide muscles on the sides of the back. And I've got a ton of stretches for this. So we'll do a couple of them. One, clasp the hands together, sink down, and come up and out. Now this one has a bunch of options that you could do in a chair if you like. Come up and out. You do need to be somewhat intentional with this stretch, because if you just bend the elbows, you're not going to get that arm up and out and really get some expansion over the ribs where that muscle lays, right? You got to pull up and out. And you might need to move your hips a little bit with it too. So push the hips the same side as your hands. Push your hips to the same side as your hands. Okay, side to side. And that will expand the ribs a little bit more. If you want to do this in a chair, you probably don't get to move your hips around quite as much, but you can still get a good stretch here. Nice wide feet. Up and out. Up and out. Up and out, up and out. There's another one, very similar in principle. I don't like it quite as well because I have a hard time breathing when my hands stay overhead, but it is just as effective as far as a stretch goes. Here it is. You're welcome to do this one instead. If you like it, do it, right? Side to side. Your hands are up overhead. That's where it gets me. That's where I just have a hard time getting a full deep breath with my hands staying up. But it's still a very effective stretch, so I like to share it. Okay, come down. You can spend way more time doing that. You can do that for a minute if you wanted to. I'm gonna move on here and do one more static. Those were active lat stretches. You move in and out of tension. This is a static stretch. I'll show you facing a wall in a chair and standing facing a wall. Okay, so we anchor our hands to the wall here. I'm going to bring my right hand over to the left and kind of bend over leftward, okay? Is that a word? I don't think it's a word. Bending over left, pushing the ribs right. My hand is anchored over here. My right hand's anchored to the left. And flip it whenever you're ready, okay? Left hand over to the right, bending over to the right. Get some tension in the side of your back. Now, not everybody agrees on how long you should hold for, but usually the minimum is something like 35 seconds for those GTOs, those Golgi tendon organs, right, to relax. Sounds like something I made up. There's a response in your muscles that tells them to tighten up when they're afraid they're getting too long, okay? But the idea is about 35 seconds, they start to relax a little bit. So that's a ballpark. I think it's going to be different person to person. I think it's going to be different depending on how trained you are in stretching, how often you stretch, and those kinds of things, and how tight those muscles are. So huge variation there. You might hold it for a whole minute. You might hold it for 2 minutes. I don't know. Anchor your hand and tip side and other side. Okay, if you're standing, same stretch. Facing a wall, right hand over to the left, tip to the side. Here's what it looks like from behind. Right hand over to the left. And you can do this in so many different ways, but the idea is that we anchor the hand so that we get some expansion in this general side of the body, right? So stretching over the side there. Okay, get the other side whenever you're ready. Remember, go at your own pace. Looking for tension along the side of the body. You can also do this facing the length of the wall, not facing the wall, but down it. One hand down, one hand goes over. And I use that lower hand as support and to kind of add to the intensity by pushing off the wall, right? And you're anchored here. Remember what I said about intensity. Slow and steady wins the race. Be gentle, be kind to yourself. You don't need to increase the intensity, especially if you're just starting into stretch, or if you're not regularly stretching at least a few times a week, you want to go even softer, right? If you stretch every day for a while, you can probably push a little bit harder than me even. I don't stretch as much as I maybe should, even though I teach the stretching classes, right? I would benefit from doing them more often myself. And then I would be able to stretch a little bit harder, potentially. All right, shaking it out. Keep going there if you want, but I'm gonna move on back down to our lower body here. Some of my favorite stretches are hamstring stretches. Now I'm gonna show you a few, and then I'm gonna move on, and then I'm gonna come back to them later because there are so many hamstring stretches, and I think they're so critical. I've read that they're the most commonly strained muscle. I don't know if that's in every age group, so I want to look into it. It could just be that, young people are sprinting too much and they're pulling the hamstrings in sports. But I want to look into it for you, and I'll have more info on that. But it is highly strained, it is highly injured, so we want to stretch it to prevent that. Holding onto a wall, standing, I got my heel down and toe up, gentle, smooth, controlled, small hamstring swings, right? These are controlled, they're steady. Okay. If you're sitting in a chair today, the same stretch can be done, right? Just like this, sitting at the edge of your chair. I use my hands to pick my leg up a little higher and then extend the leg. Now notice, my knee does not get perfectly straight here. That's okay. The idea is tension in the hamstrings, okay? It's not a joint mobility test, so this isn't about getting the leg perfectly straight. This is about tension in these muscles here. So if you can achieve tension prior to the knee going perfectly straight, that's fine. Mission accomplished. We've done what we're aiming to do, right? We're looking for tension. So I bring my leg up on purpose to get some tension in the hamstrings. If you straighten out your leg, right, here's the flip side. If you straighten out your leg but get no tension in the leg, you just straighten it out, we're not stretching. You're making sure that the joint still moves and straightens out, but you're not preventing injuries in this muscle group down here. Okay, so we've got to find some tension. Doesn't need to be extreme. Hopefully it's not extreme. Don't strain anything, right? Supposed to be making things better, not worse. Gentle, back and forth. And you might do 15 on each side. You might be doing 25 on each side. Give yourself breaks if you need it. So you might be doing that standing one. You might be doing this one. I'm gonna go ahead and stand again and show you a static. So those are active, right? In and out of tension, moving, squeezing the quadriceps as you extend the legs. These are static now. These we place and we hold. So I'm gonna hold onto this chair, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. The knees can be slightly bent. In fact, I prefer it to locking out the knees. I don't like to lock out my knees for this. Knees slightly bent, then push the bottom back. I'm getting some tension in my hamstrings here, so I know I'm stretching them. I want to keep my eyes down on my chair, fairly straight spine, right? And pull back. Now the idea is if you tuck your tail, you take tension away. If you flare your tail up for this, which is the opposite of the hip flexor stretch, flare the tail up, that adds some tension there. Breathing, eyes down on the chair. Okay, keep going there if that's working for you. Sometimes I hold onto the back of the chair, sometimes I hold onto the wall. I really do like this one just as much. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Push the bottom back, flaring the tail up. Don't tuck the tail, bring it up. That will give some tension to the back side of the front leg. This is my right leg in front here, so the back side of that right leg is getting some tension. You can move the bottom up and down and kind of find a different point to, I almost said anchor to, but you're not really anchoring. A point to hold. Okay, I'm gonna switch sides. You can stay there longer as usual. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Tuck the tail. No, don't tuck the, blah, blah, blah. Don't tuck the tail. Flare the tail. Up. Okay, anterior pelvic tilt. A little bit of tension in the hamstrings here. And again, if you come down with the bottom, that's fine. Some people, now this isn't me, some people are super duper flexible and they might need to hinge forward more in order to get a good stretch. They might need to extend the knee further, right? Like this, in order to get a good stretch. I can get a good stretch with a bent knee and I'm happy with that, right? So for example, if I'm doing bicep curls and I'm trying to get a good workout, I can't do it with 3-pound weights. I need to do heavier weights. So if you're really flexible, you might need to move further than what you're seeing me do for these stretches. You might need to hinge down further, right? Not trying to round the back though, okay? That's just cheating yourself. It's honestly, it's not increasing the stretch to round the back. Okay, so same thing at the chair, and spend more time there if you like, if you need to. Listen to your body and what it needs. Usually hamstrings need a lot. It's a pretty long muscle group and we challenge them almost daily if we're walking around. All right, I'm gonna get back up to the upper body here. Upper body, I'm gonna come all the way up to the neck area, okay? So this is the back of the neck. I'm gonna tuck my chin back, unlock the knees of course, and look down toward the ground. Breathing here. Just letting the weight of your forehead pull down. I don't like to hold on with my hands and push down. I think that's stuff that I was taught to do in high school, and I've been taught otherwise in a lot of ways since then, right? Maybe it's because it was a few years ago. It was a number of years ago. And this, things change. The science changes. They improve on what's safe. They improve on the science of what's effective. And I'm pretty picky about some of these stretches. I don't just show us everything that I see on the internet, right? We make sure that it's safe stuff. Looking down, tucking the chin. All right, let's rock the forehead left and right gently. And I'm just looking over one hip and the other, okay? So swing right, 2, 3, 4, swing left. 2, 3, 4, swing right. 2, 3, 4, swing left. 2, 3, 4. You could always go slower than this, but you want to make sure you're not like swinging like a pendulum with some momentum. Should be controlled. All right, one more here. And roll up with each vertebrae. Shrug the shoulders a couple times. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs, or we're going up and down to keep things fresh. Okay, lower body here. Lower body here. I'm going to stretch the glutes in a chair. Later, I will have more glute stretches on the floor, but you can wait for that. If you've got a chair, it's a good time to do this stretch. I'm going to hold off on some of the floor stuff for the end. So that the people who are not going to get on the floor today can be done when I get to the floor. Anyway, here we are in a chair. Cross the leg over. Pull it back. You're welcome to skip this if you don't have a chair. There isn't a great glute stretch that I like standing. They increase the risk and decrease the effectiveness. So I like the chair and the floor for these glute stretches. There are a couple that I do sometimes here and there, but I just don't think they're as good. I add them in for variety here and there. Anyway, do the ones that you like though. Do the ones that work for your body. Maybe you like some of those standing ones that I've done. Pull the knee back. And if you want more intensity, if your body is accepting it, pull across. So this is my right leg pulling left, right? Pushing over that way. But if you're on the other side, then you can pull to the right, of course. What was the but? I was going to say something about that. Anyway, whatever. I guess we're stretching the glutes. Switch sides, cross over. You are welcome to hold longer if you need to. Okay, and again, pull across the body. Left glutes, pull the knee right. Right glutes, pull the knee left. All right, great job today, everybody. Thank you again for coming in. Hope you're feeling well, getting good rest at night, having good days. Keep doing good things for yourselves. You're stretching, so obviously you care about yourself. All right, next up, upper body. This is another neck stretch, but it's going to be the sides of the neck. Okay, the intention here is the sides of the neck and sort of the upper traps. I'm going to keep my eyes straight forward. You can do this seated or standing. It doesn't matter. I'm going to stay in a chair because I'm already here. Eyes forward, and I'm going to tilt my right ear toward my right shoulder. If you do the opposite side, it's fine. Right ear toward the right shoulder. Left ear looks up, and I'm looking for tension in the left side of the neck. My eyes stay forward. I'm not looking down at the shoulder. Eyes stay forward, shoulders back, chest up. Now, to make this a little bit more intense, I'm going to reach my fingertips down toward the ground. Take a nice deep breath. As I exhale, I'm going to reach intentionally, very intentionally, down, down, down toward the ground. Now, it might be too much intensity to grab underneath the chair and pull. You're welcome to kind of play with that a little bit, but be kind, be nice, be gentle with it. You guys know. Reach the fingertips down, breathing in through the nose and out. Okay, I'm going to come on up. Left ear toward the left shoulder, eyes straight forward, right ear's up, looking for tension to the right side of the neck and the upper traps here. Reaching the fingertips down toward the ground, nice deep breath. And exhale, fingertips guide down toward the ground. Eyes are forward, not looking down at the shoulder. Awesome, awesome job. These get really tight when you do a lot of shoulder exercises, when you're doing shoulder shrugs and those I's, Y's, and T's in those strength classes we teach. Okay, in through the nose, breathing in. Last, nice deep exhale. Fingertips reach down toward the ground. And come on up with your head. Looking straight ahead. Shrug the shoulders. Roll them both ways. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, we've got a couple stretches left before I do a couple ground stretches. This is an adductor stretch, the inner leg here. I'm going to show you the one that I started when I started teaching stretching classes a couple years ago. I liked this stretch. I don't do it anymore. I think it's still fine, but I don't get enough tension out of it. You might still get enough tension out of it, so you might like, you decide. And then I'll show you the one that I do nowadays. Anyway, sitting down, heel down, toe up, and we open up the hips, right? We open up the legs because these muscles are in between the legs. So we want to have the heel down and toe up and open up. Now you can turn away from that straight leg. So this is my right leg. I'm going to turn left. I'm even going to hold on to the back of my chair here. Don't hit your elbow on the chair, on an armrest or anything. Turning. Okay, let me show you another angle. Not trying to twist so hard that I crack my back. All right, this is all for hips. Okay, so I'm just opening up basically as much as I comfortably can, right? Looking for a little bit of tension there. And actually, it's funny, I said that I don't do this anymore, but today I do feel tight here from yesterday's workout, right? From yesterday's class that I taught. This tension here, it's higher than normal. So I'm actually getting something out of this one today. I will still show you the one that I typically do these days. All right, do both sides. If that works for you, stick with it. Keep going there. You gotta get both sides symmetrically, hopefully. Here's the one that I like, that I do lately. Hands on a chair, nice wide feet, and then I lunge to the right, pushing down with the left hip. Lunge to the left, pushing down with the right hip. Okay? Let me show you from rear view, right? Nice wide feet. And that's on purpose. I'll tell you why in a second. Lunging to the side, pushing down. Lunge to the other side, pushing down. Okay? And the target area is this inner leg here. The inner thigh, inner leg. Okay? So if you have your feet too narrow and your hips go beyond the feet, you're just not going to get tension on that inner leg. You've got to have your feet wider than your sway, right? Wider than your side-to-side movement for a good base of support and balance, but also just for effectiveness with the exercise. You want to lunge. I'm calling it lunge, but it's, you know, it's not a strength lunge. It's not, you know, it's not tapping the toe and not tapping it's not a lunge, but it's side-to-side swaying. Now, this stretch is a good multitasking stretch for the hamstrings. All you do is pull back a little ways. I told you there'd be some more hamstrings to come. Nice wide feet. So it's the same stretch, side to side, but you pull back just a little bit as well. Okay? Forward switch and back a little. Forward switch and back a little. Okay? So it's just a little bit of a rock, a little bit of a sway. Don't overdo it, especially with these movement-based stretches. All right, easy to go too far. Keep going there if you like that stretch. Next up, the upper body, rhomboids. We're almost done with the stuff that we're gonna do standing and seated. We're almost to the ground here. Clasping the hands together. These stretches are for everything in between the shoulder blades and the spine. Okay, shoulder blades and the spine, the rhomboids, the middle traps. Here's a bunch of other little stuff in there, but those are the big ones. Clasp the hands. Let me move that. You could sit if you wanted to. Unlock the knees and push side to side. Okay, pushing side to side. Now I'm pulling. I'm being pretty intentional. As my hands push right, it's like my body's pulling back the other way to get my shoulder to go forward and across. The muscles here are intended to pull the shoulder blades back. So to stretch them, we've got to go the other way, right? So push over to the side, push over to the side. I sometimes do two other ones, but this is my favorite of the three, where we push side to side. Sometimes I do stirring the pot, where you go forward and out, right? It's like a big old cauldron here, making soup. What's a spring soup? Asparagus soup? I don't know. Is that a soup? I don't think so. Kale soup, maybe? I don't know. Maybe that's a winter soup. I don't know my spring soups. You'll have to let me know. Push the hands forward and swing side to side. That's one. I do like it, but if your ribs tend to give you problems, pain, spine issues, right? That one's probably the highest risk because you're using your hands as weight. Don't hold weight in your hands for this. Use your hands as weight and you're kind of swinging using a slight amount of momentum for this third version. Like I said, my favorite is pushing side to side, but if you want to try the others, and if you want to write a comment in there and tell me what a good spring soup is, I would love to know because I love soup all times of the year. Anyway, stir in the pot. Tell me what kind of soup we made. Shake out the arms, roll the shoulders, up, back, and down, up, back, and down. All right, lower body. Okay, we've done calves. We've done a little bit of hamstrings. We're gonna do more. Adductors, glutes, some hip flexors. I've got our final kind of inner groin hip flexor stretch, then quadriceps. We've done neck, shoulders. We need to still do the chest. We've done a lot of the back. So here we go. We did the single plane, right? Sagittal plane, front to back, hip flexor stretch. Now, the only difference here is instead of my toes facing the same direction, step back, and then my back toe is going to open up. So my back toe opened up just a little bit here. My inner groin is gonna get some tension. Hands on the hips just for, I don't know, it helps to guide the posture here and not to go too far. You don't have to put your hands on your hips though. I'm gonna look for a little bit of tension in that inner groin of my back leg, my straight leg, as I slowly start to turn my hips toward that front toe. They're not going to make it, right? I'm not gonna be able to get my hips perfectly lined up with that front toe while my back toe is out to the side. Anatomically, doesn't really make sense, but you'll get a little bit of tension if you turn toward that. I'm calling this my front toe, by the way, the one with the bent knee, the one that it looks like I'm lunging over, okay? So I'm just turning, these are my hips here, turning them left toward my left toe. Okay, let me describe that one more time. You can, if you already got it, good, you can stick with it. Let me just describe it one more time. This is a yoga mat, right? You don't have to have one, but my front toe faces the short edge of the mat. My back toe faces the long edge of the mat, so I opened up my hips a little bit. They don't have to be perfectly perpendicular. Doesn't have to be so boxy. Don't worry about the measurements. Just a little bit of opening up at the hip, and then turn the hips toward that front toe, the short edge of the mat. It's not gonna make it all the way, right? You're not gonna square off with it. Just look for a little bit of tension in that inner groin. If you massage with your thumb or like with a fist, I'm able to find a pretty tender spot back here in the upper glutes, right above that hip bone, right below the pelvic bone. It's right between the little ball there, the femoral head. I guess it's not the head, it's before the neck. Anyway, and then the pelvis. There's some tenderness right in there, right? The kind of upper glutes. Be gentle with it if you're gonna massage that. And then I'm gonna move on. So push the bottom back a little bit, step forward. That's the safest way to come out of that, is push the bottom back, then step forward. You don't wanna overly stretch it by kicking back. Sometimes that momentum can overly stretch your muscles. So tip forward, march the knees a little bit, get the blood flow through there, through the hip flexors, and switch sides. So one toe is facing my short edge of my mat. My back toe is facing the long edge of my mat. Hands on the hips, and turn toward that front toe. Now again, I'm gonna take my hand here and just massage just gently, kind of the side hips, very gently. Sometimes there's a tender area in there that doesn't get a lot of attention, right? But be kind to it, be really gentle with it. The massage there is not deep tissue massage, right? We're not licensed massage therapists for ourselves. We're just adding a little blood flow, right? It's just a little bit of love, not bugging it. Don't poke it till you bug it, right? That's just prodding. All right, turning the hips toward that front toe. And you could stay longer. I'm gonna come out of it. For those who are not doing this stretch at all, I'm gonna come out of it, tip forward, step forward, march the knees a little bit, shake out the legs, shake out the arms. Okay, chest, quadriceps, then I've got some floor stuff. Here we are, for the chest. Down and across, up and back. And it's not a fast lawnmower pull, right? We're not trying to start the engine. It's a slow motion disco dance. Come up and out, down and across. Fairly straight arm, looking for a little bit of diagonal tension here as we come up and back. Now, we're all designed similarly, but with some slight differences in shape and size and directionality. So you may need to come back more, you may need to come up more, and you may not feel the tension at all. Don't force it by going back as far as you possibly can. If you feel tension, great. If you don't feel tension, that's okay. Just up and back, down and across. For people who have overtrained their chest in their lives, like me doing push-ups and bench press, I'm calling it overtraining because for me, I have some rounding at the shoulders. In my natural, just relaxed state, I have rounding at the shoulders. So I'm calling it overtraining for myself. Doesn't mean I actually did it too much. It just means I didn't probably train my back enough to pull the shoulder blades back. If you've got that rounding at the shoulders, you'll probably be one of those folks who feels the tension in your chest. Maybe. Okay. And I'm gonna switch sides here. Up and back, down and across. Up and back, down and across. Breathing. Great job today. Just a nice, solid, long, pretty long stretch today. But it's good to just get everything, right? Just get it all. Full body stretch. Spending lots of time doing good things for ourselves. Okay, next up, I'm gonna get into the quadriceps. Now, there are a bunch, and there are cons to almost every quadricep stretch. Isn't that silly? So the standing quadricep stretch. The con is you can fall, right? There's a balance risk. So if you have issues with balance, you might get to the floor for these quadricep stretches. These are the muscles in the front of the legs here, okay? And to stretch them, hold onto a wall or a chair, something really sturdy though. I like the wall better than the chair. Unlock the knees. I like to bring my right foot to my left hand or my left foot to my right hand. That is a little bit controversial. A lot of people will teach it same-sided, and here's my problem with it. When you grab the same side, the temptation is to pull out, not perfectly in line, it's to pull out, and that opens up that medial knee, that inner line of the knee a little bit. And we don't want laxity there. As we age especially, we start to get knock-kneed, those inner lines of the rectus femoris, right? These muscles can atrophy. Anyway, we want to avoid in with the knees, out with the foot. We want to avoid that. So instead, I'd rather turn my hip out and my foot comes back the other way. Okay, so my right foot goes to the left hand, left foot goes to the right hand. And I don't need to fling it up like that. I can go toward my foot. I don't need to bring my foot up that high. I can sink down a little bit, right foot to the other, or sorry, right hand to the left foot, left hand to the right foot, just opposites. And then when you stand up nice and tall, you'll get a little bit of tension, depending on if you're tight or not. You might get a lot of tension, a little bit or a lot of it, in the quadriceps, the front of the leg that's bent. Now, I know I sound like a stickler on this, unlock the knee associated with the ground right now. My right foot's on the ground, so I always find myself relaxing into, suspending here, just holding on with a locked knee with my connective tissue. I want to bend the knee for good blood flow, good cushioning, right? A little bit of bend. Doesn't need to be a deep squat, just a little bit of bend. Pulling my left foot up, and then I'll set it down slow and steady. Okay? Sink down to the knees and hips, left hand to the right foot, pulling up and back. So I feel a little bit of medial knee pain when I do same-sided quadricep stretches standing like this. And I feel that I've completely solved my medial knee pain issue by grabbing the opposite leg. I've been doing a number of things actually to change that, and it's been great. This is one of my techniques. The hips turn out, the knee comes back. All right. Spend more time with that if you like. It's a big muscle group. It usually needs more than 30 seconds, I would say. All right, I'm gonna get down to the floor here. While you're watching, go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on when I post new videos like this one. Welcome to stick around. Even if you aren't going to do floor stretches today, I'd encourage you to watch, and I'll speed it up a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. And you can do it on your own time, either in a bed later, on a couch later, or maybe you're doing it on the floor with me right now. That's fine as well. Number 2, quadricep stretch. Okay, I'm gonna do 4 of them. This is kneeling. It's the same stretch, but less fall risk because we're not standing, right? The con to this one, like I said, there's a con to almost all of the quadricep stretches. The con to this one is if you've got pain in your knees, you probably don't want to be kneeling, right? That's the con to this one. So if you've got pain in the knees, this one might be one that you skip. And I'm going to go through it pretty quickly just so you can see all the options. Holding right hand to left foot, left hand to right foot, opposites, picking the knee up, right? Pulling the heel up high, squeeze the glutes, push the hips forward. I don't know if I mentioned that standing, but that can increase the stretch, okay? Right hand to left foot, left hand to right foot, doesn't matter. Switching sides, squeeze the glutes, push the hips forward. I'm just picking up my foot, or picking up my knee associated with the side that I'm stretching. Again, this is a lot of pressure, and however much you weigh is going straight down into that knee. So that can be fine. It feels fine for me, but if it hurts your knee, then that might not be the one for you. Okay, maybe this is the one for you. Here's the con to this next one. This is side lying, great quadricep stretch, but you've got an issue with your shoulder, right? An active injury, a current problem or history of shoulder injury, this one is not for you. You're weight bearing into your elbow, which goes through your shoulder, okay? I'm side lying here, my left leg is straight, my right knee is bent, and my right toe is back behind me, okay? I feel like you get more out of this when I flip over and you can see the other side, but I don't even have to hold on here, right? I don't even have to use my right hand to pull my leg back because my toe is anchored to the ground. You'll see when I flip over what I'm talking about, okay? Just keep your neck straight, eyes forward, try not to hurt your neck and strain things while we're stretching. All right, switching over just so you can see the other side. Elbow down, weight going through the shoulder. If you got a shoulder injury, this one might not be for you today, right? It might be for you next time, I don't know. Tuck the toe back, anchoring into the ground with your toe. By the way, if you're wearing socks and you're on a hard surface floor, you're probably gonna slide around too much. I've got to use shoes for this, and you know, these are whatever this is made out of, some kind of rubber, probably really not good for me. Anyway, yoga mats that are gripping to my shoe. So I'm able to tuck my toe pretty well, squeeze the glutes, push the hips forward, right? Getting the quadricep stretch in there. I don't even need my hand, right? It can dance around all at once. Okay, I'm gonna come out of that. Careful. And then the last quadricep stretch, and I'm gonna do it quickly, is face down. The only con to this one, it's not an injury risk. This is just that your face is down toward the ground, and people don't like that. I don't like that because floors aren't necessarily that clean. So anyway, this is maybe a good one to do later in bed, something like that. On your stomach. I still like doing opposite limbs, right hand to left foot, left hand to right foot. Face down, okay? I try to keep my face off the ground with my forehead on my wrist or on a pillow. I don't have a pillow with me today. But this one has probably the least body risk as far as like your shoulders aren't a problem, your knees probably aren't a problem. You're definitely not a fall risk. We're already flat on our face. And this one is good in a bed, on a couch, or if you trust your floor, right? Clean my yoga mats here and there, so I'm good with it. Plus, I'm keeping my forehead propped up on my wrist, and that's a good option. Okay, take your time with that. Spend more time with it if you like. I'm still on the ground here, and I'm going to do a rhomboid stretch next, and then a couple of glute stretches, hamstrings. We've got a few left for the floor, folks. Here we go. Rhomboids, shoulder blades. Okay. Remember those muscles in between there, middle traps. I like to bring my feet together. It's not a forward fold. It's not a butterfly stretch. Hold on to your knee and lean back. Okay? So I'm anchoring my hands to my knee and I'm leaning my body away from that knee. Okay, let me just show you on the other side really quick. Anchoring my hands to my knee or the shin, right? Essentially, forward and across the body. Now this is my right arm crossing my body here, so I'm going to pull back to the right. And I'm not pulling my hands back to the right, I'm leaning my body weight back to the right. I actually want to relax my back so that it stretches and rounds forward a little bit. Okay, other side. Make sure you get both sides. I don't know which side you went first. I don't know how many times you've switched already. You can spend more time with that. I'm gonna move on to, what did I say? The glutes, and then we'll get a hamstring stretch in here. We're just about done, everybody. Okay, 1 foot forward, cross the other over, give it a hug. Looking for a little bit of tension in the side of the glutes here. And this is equivalent to the stretch that we did in a chair, crossing over, giving it a hug, possibly even rotating the spine a little bit, pulling across versus just straight back, pulling across the body. This is equivalent to the chair stretch. It's good to do a second time, but if you already did the chair stretch, this one might not feel as, might not feel like, oh wow, that's the first time I've done that today, right? Because you've already felt some kind of tension like this if you did the chair stretch. I think this one's just as good, but But the next one is a glute stretch that will turn into a hamstring stretch on our backs. So turn to the side or pull straight back, either way. I get a little bit more out of this when I turn to the side myself. Okay, keep going there if that works for you. This next one is different than the one we did in the chair today. On our backs, and my hair's gonna get in the way, isn't it? All right, right ankle over the left knee or vice versa, ankle over the knee, and then rock back. Very similar to the figure 4 stretch. My only distinction here is I don't actually like to multitask during this stretch. If you do, great, do what you enjoy, but I don't like to get a hamstring stretch at the same time here. For me, it seems like one or the other. If I try to do both, I lose effectiveness on the glutes. So I just gotta go glutes or hamstring. I'll show you that. So rock the legs back, use the hands, pull a little bit more if you can. Look for tension in the glutes here, associated with your outturned legs. This is my right leg. And switch sides whenever you feel like you need to. Ankle over the knee, rock it back. Now you can pull on almost anything here. I'm gonna use my hands to pull kind of on the ankle associated with the leg I'm stretching. This is my left leg that I'm stretching over here, away from the camera. So I'm pulling on my left ankle, but you could pull on your supporting leg. Okay, go through and pull. You can pull on all of it, all right? The knee and the pull on everything. Look for tension though, looking for tension in the glutes. And I feel this one every time. I think I just always have tight glutes though. All right, and then what I was talking about multitasking, some people also like to extend the leg up for a figure 4 stretch. It looks kind of like a, I don't know, a 4, I guess, depending on your font. And it's fine, but it distracts from my glute stretch for me. I like to just wait for this next one, and here's a good hamstring stretch on your backs. Okay, so backs on the floor, knees up, and I bring them up as high as I'm capable, as high as I'm comfortably capable, and then I extend the knees. So you can go left and right. Notice they're not getting perfectly straight, because again, just like in the chair earlier, this is not a joint mobility test. This is a soft tissue elasticity test. So, well, it's not really a test. It's a soft tissue elasticity exercise. Looking for tension on the back sides of the leg here. Doesn't matter if the knee gets straight, we just look for tension. Okay, and the nice thing with being on your back is you can actually do both at the same time if you choose. For some reason, I still like to alternate. It feels like I don't know, I just like to alternate. Breathing. If your toes get cold and numb, you're probably losing some blood flow because your feet are up in the air. You just got to bring them down and wiggle them. We don't want to encourage numbness, right? Coming on up. Extend, extend. Okay, and one more note with that. If you can extend your knee perfectly straight, but you're not getting tension there, you probably need to pull your knee closer up toward your shoulders, right? You probably need to, it's probably too straight without tension, and so you need to bring your knees up higher to gain that tension, potentially. All right. Everybody, I am done for today. There are plenty of more stretches to do that I'll save for another class. Thank you guys so much. We spent a lot of time together. So anyway, if you made it this far, congratulations. You did a very complete, thorough stretch of your body today. Like I said, there are more stretches to do. I'll save them for another time. One last thing, everybody, if you would like to help spread this channel, you are welcome to click the like button, the subscribe button, and even share this video on things like Facebook or on an email with friends and family so that they can enjoy it and get some exercise as well. Again, thank you guys so much. Have a great week. Bye-bye.